Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming. It's good to see that we've got so many people here today. I hope you enjoyed the BSc Welcome with Deborah King. So my name's Chloe Marshall. I'm the Student Experience Officer here at the faculty, and I'm going to be moderating this panel today. Before we get started though, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people who are the traditional owners of the land on which the university is built and on which I live today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders, both past and present, of the Kulin Nation and extend that respect to any Indigenous Australians present here with us today. So thank you once again for coming. I guess I just want to explain this panel is to kind of give you an opportunity to ask other students, your fellow students, questions about the different programs and different opportunities available to you during the BSc. So I hope that you're excited to join the faculty. We're really excited to have you with us. So you can see down the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A function. If you could just direct all your questions there, that would be great. And we will, there's not much else to get going with, but I'll get our panelists to turn their videos on and we'll start with the introductions. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. All right, perfect. So as you can see, we have a variety of panelists with us today. They're all in different parts of their degree. And as I said, I can see a few people raising their hands. Please just pop any questions you have down in the Q&A function below. That would be really great. Thank you. Cool. All right. So I'll get you guys to maybe I'll start with Caitlin, just because she's next to me on the screen. Caitlin, could you just introduce yourself, like what you're studying, what year you're in, what your major is, and kind of the programs that you've been involved in?
Yeah, of course. My name's Caitlin. I am studying Bachelor of Science, like I expect all of you guys are as well. And I'm in my 3.5 year this year. So I've done a little bit over long, I suppose, and I'm majoring in microbiology. So I'm going to be graduating in 6 months, and then I want to do a year of research, which would be like an honours year, and I'm really looking forward to that. The kinds of things I've been involved in, I've been on campus since my 2nd year at the University of Melbourne Student Union and for the university. I've also done quite a few volunteering programs. So I'm doing peer mentoring this year, and I am a science student ambassador. And I've also been volunteering these past 2 weeks as the event coordinator for a summer school organised by our student union. So that's pretty fun. In terms of programs that the university has run, I did the industry mentoring program last semester, and that was really helpful in me getting an internship, which I'm going to be starting next week, and I'm very excited for that. I'm also going to be studying a research project soon at the Water Analyzer Hall Institute, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Wow, Caitlin, a long CV there. So yes, Caitlin is an ambassador, which is a program that I run along with one of my colleagues called Remy. Actually, everyone except for Joanna here is a science student ambassador. So yeah, I'm sure they can tell you a bit about that program as well. Now, Ifan, did you want to introduce yourself next? I know your CV is also very long. You're involved in almost everything I can think of.
Yeah, kind of. So hi everyone, I'm Ifan. I am a 3rd-year student. I'm majoring in mathematics, and at the same time I'm also doing a concurrent diploma in computing. So concurrent diploma is something you can do throughout your BSc degree. And for outside of classes, I have been a peer mentoring program mentor for 2 semesters now. That has been really fun. I am also a mentee in the STEM industry mentoring program. And I also really enjoy getting involved with clubs and society. So the club that I'm most involved with is the Melbourne Uni Maths and Stats Society, for which I'm the current president for. So yeah, that's it for now.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that. Joanna, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'd love to. I don't have as long of a CV, but I'm Joey. I'm going into my 3rd year this year, majoring in biochemistry and molecular biology following on from that, I'll be doing my law Juris Doctor. So, or I could even be going into a master's at the moment. I'm pretty confident about law, but we're still a little uncertain. In terms of my main reason that I'm here, I'm a part of the Science Student Society, and I'm also a part of the Melbourne Uni Debating Society, but my main area that I'm really involved in uni is the Science Student Society. And yeah, I've been part of plenty of clubs, so if you want to ever know about any clubs and societies as well, I've tried out a lot.
Cool. Well, while we're on you, Joanne, did you just want to give everyone a bit of an understanding of like what the Science Student Society does, how students can get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so essentially the Science Student Society, it's one of the biggest clubs on campus at the moment. And so the main idea is that the idea is to get the most out of your uni years. And so it kind of works in a twofold manner. So obviously there's the educational aspects of uni and careers and all of that, as well as the social aspects of uni. So in terms of educational, we have a whole lot of Q&A sessions that are run with industry professionals, sessions discussing how to choose your major with a bunch of student expertise. So all of that sort of stuff. In terms of the social aspect, that's kind of the element that I'm more involved in. And so pretty much there's a bunch of on-campus and off-campus events. So if you're interested in barbecues every second Thursday, we have science barbecues where you can grab a stag or a veggie burger if that's more your thing. And pretty much just chat with a whole bunch of other science students, as well as other students in general. Anyone is welcome. In terms of off-campus events, we currently have O-Camp coming up, which is how I got involved in the club in the first place, and I am so excited. So I'll be a leader on that camp as well. And we just have a bunch of events running all the time just so that everyone can chat and get to know each other. I'll actually pop in a link in our chat, which will link you to our Facebook page as well as O-Camp. Yeah, pretty much we'd love to see some new faces. I'll be a leader on camp. I'll be floating around at all the events. We'd love to chat. It's a fantastic way to pretty much make a whole lot of friends, and yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you sent that to all the attendees, so I'm just resending it. Hopefully everyone can see that. Thanks so much for that, Joanna. That's really interesting. I know that you guys are still hoping to go ahead with the O-Week camp, so that's really cool. All right, Navindu, do you want to give us a little background about yourself?
Sure, Chloe. Hi, I'm Navindu, and I'm currently a third-year Bachelor of Science majoring in Environmental Engineering. So I've been a Science Student Ambassador and a peer mentor, and worked with UFAN and many others present here. Apart from that, through events run through uni, I've taken part in the industry mentoring, the academic advising, and the peer mentoring as a mentor, and also through InterScience, which is an organization, a government-funded organization that does STEM mentoring to kids in Victoria as a mentor. Volunteering, I volunteered with AMSU, and the club that I'm probably most involved with is MUIS, Melbourne University Environmental Engineer Society, and I'm currently the treasurer there.
Awesome, thanks for that. And lucky last, Stella, would you like to tell us a little bit about your background and what you've been involved in?
Hi everyone, I'm actually recently graduated from a neuroscience major in the Bachelor of Science. So that was a very exciting period of time. In terms of university activities, I completed the Science and Technology internship, which led me all the way to Stanford in the US for a clinical summer internship. I also undertook an exchange semester at the University of California in Santa Cruz. And I'm involved in a lot of clubs within the university, the main ones being Effective Altruism, which I'm the treasurer of, and also Strive Student Health Initiative, which is a non-profit organization, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement over there. I'm also currently working at the Walter Eliza Hall Institute, which is where I'll be taking my honours year this upcoming year.
Awesome, that's so cool, Stella. Well, so we've got quite a few questions already coming through, and can just hands up, who's done an internship here? I know Stella has. Anyone else? Okay, so we've got a few people to answer this top question here. The first question I've got is, what internship programs are available in the BSc and which ones would you recommend? Now, I think it is just through that science and science technology internship subject, correct? Ifan, do you have something to say?
Yeah, so besides the subject, lots of schools and faculties also run their own internship. So for example, with the School of Maths and Stats, at the moment, I'm doing like a vacation scholarship over the summer. So it's like an internship where you do a research project with a supervisor over the summer. So yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So Caitlin, did you want to talk a bit about your experience did you do it through the subject or did you do it through another option?
Yeah, this semester I'm doing 2 internships. So one is an industry internship, which is through the subject I think that was mentioned in the question. The other one is a research internship. So that's like Irfan was saying, through one of the faculties at the university. I'm also doing an internship that's not through the university, so you can do those as well. In terms of looking for internships, I think, you know, your options are pretty much endless. The university's internship subject, you can find anywhere that's going to be related to your degree and like make it happen. It's kind of awesome and incredible. Yeah, anywhere that you can ask, that would be great. If you're interested in working on campus, I know that there's also a couple of job opportunities within different faculties in more of like administrative roles. I have some friends who've done that through the Students at Work program. So there's kind of a lot of opportunities, and yeah, in terms of looking, yeah, just keep your eyes open. You can talk to lots of people, and I think, yeah, lots of people can help you with specific things in your area.
Yeah, does anyone have anything else to add to that?
I think maybe, yeah, go through the UniMelb Careers portal. That's a good place to find internships if you want to.
Cool, that's a great tip. And also the careers and industry team within the faculty run how to find an internship little workshops as well. So they give you some good tips on how to find them, where to look and stuff like that. So there is a lot of resources available to try and find a good internship. I think that there's no specific program that's better than the other. And I think you get to choose kind of what area you want to do the internship in. It's not like pre-prescribed to you or anything like that in terms of all of that. Cool. So I'm just having a look through some of these questions. So I've got one here. It says, is it possible to attend any exchanges during the BSc? And also, how many classes did you attend per week in your first year? Oh, and how many additional studies? Okay, so that's about how many study hours you think you need to spend and how many contact hours you have. You can find how many contact hours in the handbook for most subjects. So you'll be able to see how many hours you'll have to spend on campus. And then I'm not sure what the recommended is outside of that. Does anyone know how much you would spend on study outside of that?
I've been told 10 hours total, so including the contact hours.
Okay. So whatever contact hours you have, take that away, and then the rest of that 10 hours should be private study for your subjects. Now, I know Stella's definitely been on exchange. Did you want to talk about what your experience was like, how you did it, and where you went?
Yep, so the exchange process with the University of Melbourne in the Bachelor of Science is really easy. The university through Stop 1 will run various workshops that helps you choose your destination. They'll run sort of science-specific workshops as well to help you decide what subjects you need to take, what universities would be good for offering subjects for a particular major or subjects you need to complete in order to enroll in other subjects at the university. So I completed my exchange at the University of California in Santa Cruz. So that's one of the really big options for a North American university in the USA. The process of applying for the UCs is a little bit different because you sort of pick the UCs as a whole, and they've got, I think, 9 or 10. They've got 9 or 10 campuses, and so you sort of just pick your top 3, and the system will allocate you to a preference for your exchange. So I personally did my exchange semester 2 of my second year. So that was the end of 2019 coming into the beginning of 2020. So it did sort of go into that COVID period. And I know a lot of students had some difficulties going on exchange and coming back from exchange due to the travel bans. But definitely Stop 1 and the university exchange team provided a lot of support to ensure that we were all able to have a safe and enjoyable experience.
Stella, a couple of people are saying they can't hear you. Is there any way to maybe swap to a different mic? I can hear you fine. Can all the other panelists hear her fine? Yeah, so a few people are just saying they can't hear you. But yeah, Stella went on exchange in America. You can go to Stock One for any advice on how to apply and stuff like that. Exchanges aren't open right now. So there will be an update, I'm sure, this year about what's happening with that. But yeah, they're not open right now, but hopefully they will open in the near future. And you have 3 years, so I'm sure things will be similarly back to normal by the time this cohort finishes their degree. All right, I've got just an easy one down here. Someone asked what contact hours are. Contact hours are the amount of time that you spend in shoots, labs, lectures, workshops, stuff, seminars, stuff like that. So time that you actually are in class in some way or shape or form. So that's what a contact hour is. Just so that we can clear that up before we move on. All right, let me have a look at some of these other questions. One of these questions, I guess this is just at the top of the question, is the top of the list, is what are some of your recommended breadth subjects for B-Sci students, specifically aspiring engineers? So this is a good question because I think with breadth, it's all a bit like, you know, in the BSc, you're always focusing on what you're going to major in and stuff like that. So it's very kind of easy to figure out what you're going to do, I guess. But with breadth, it's kind of like there's such a variety. So yeah, who wanted to go first? Maybe I'll throw this one to Navindu. I know that you are doing environmental engineering, so maybe you have a good one because this is specifically asking about engineering.
Sure. I guess it depends on whether there's any sort of breadth that you would like to do. I think there's also an option where you can do some sort of a minor in breadth as well. And I've got friends who do breadths in commerce and law. Now, in my first year, I did a few breadths in management and business law. So that was completely new to me. I'm from a diehard science background. So I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, I recommend having a look through the handbook and selecting your breadth. But for engineering, I would say, personally, that's just my opinion, but a few commerce subjects would be quite helpful because when it comes to the Masters in Engineering, there's also an option where you can do Masters of Engineering with business. And so if you've done a bit of business electives as your breadth, that would be really helpful.
Awesome. Does anyone else have some hot tips about breadth subjects? Caitlin, I've seen you turn your mic off. So what's a good tip you have for a good breadth subject?
Yeah, I've come from kind of the opposite background to Navindu. I had so much trouble choosing science over a Bachelor of Arts or other kinds of things. So I wanted to use all my breadth to do things with a lot of writing of essays. So I did some geography. I've done some really kind of random stuff. In my first year, I did a subject called From Plato to Einstein, which is the intro subject for the sort of history and philosophy of science faculty. And that was a really amazing subject. There's a really strong focus on physics and physical sciences. But I'm studying biomedical science, so microbiology, and I still really loved it. It was still really enjoyable. Yeah, and I would really recommend that. It's a really new way to think about a lot of the science that you're learning about in other subjects.
Awesome. Does anyone else have a good tip? Hands up, Joanne. Yeah, go for it.
In terms of breadth, so what I found is my friends and we kind of had two different ideas of how to approach your breadth subjects. So you could either do breadth subjects that complement your degree and kind of add to that. Or what I found for me in first year was I was a little bit overwhelmed by the level of science that I was doing. And so I really enjoyed kind of taking a step back and going into different lanes. And so I did a whole lot of breadths around philosophy, then I did some French language sort of breadths as well. And so it means if you do find it a little bit intense just to be thinking about things like chemistry and physics all the time, you can you can have some alternative avenues. And so, yeah, I'd really recommend looking in and seeing what's around and what's on offer, because you can find some really interesting things like Greek mythology as well out there, or you can end up in the commerce law avenues as well. So yeah, and also I'd really recommend Drugs That Shape Society just as a subject in general. I really enjoyed that as someone with a bio kind of aspect to see what happens oh, it's just a good subject. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's also always nice to kind of counteract your very heavy science subjects with something more like socio-political, so you can kind of see things different. And that sounds like it's a good mixture of kind of both of those things in a breadth subject. Does anyone have any really ones that they really want to recommend? Ifan?
I'll just add one more thing.
Yeah.
You can also use your breath to pick up a new language during your Bachelor of Science. So like before my uni, I haven't learned any French at all. Like all I know was bonjour and that's it. But you need to have like different levels of difficulty for each language, so that it was really easy for me to pick French up from the very start. And then the tutors and the lecturers are very nice to help guide you throughout the entire process. So yeah, pick up a new language.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I've got a few questions here that are kind of more course related. So some timetable preference ones and the majors. You should just go and see Stop One if you're having issues with your course plan and how you can keep as many majors open as possible. They have course planning experts in STEM, and they'll be able to kind of help you with that in a very individual way, because it really varies from major to major, and there are so many majors and so many ways you can structure your course. So I think we'll just that's the best place to go for that sort of advice. Yeah, so I guess this is kind of a question about online learning, which is something that is still going to continue into 2021, and for people that are still going to be starting their degree from overseas or interstate if they can't make it here right now. So this question is, how hard was it to switch over to online learning? Was it difficult to distinguish a time/place for work versus leisure? And I guess what's a tip that you have for them? Why don't I start with you, Joanna?
Okay, so I am someone who works collaboratively, so I definitely did struggle with the switch to online learning. Something that I found really helped me was kind of finding people within your subject. So I guess I got really lucky in the sense that because it was my second year of uni, I did have quite a few people who I knew who were doing subjects around me. And so really communicating with them as well is what really helped me, because I knew my learning style. I guess I would just say really is try a few things out, see what works for you, because ultimately like what you start with might not be like if you are a really heavy rote learner, then maybe you'll probably be doing entirely different things to how I learn. So just take your time, play around with it. It'll all work out.
Yeah, and there's lots of support at the university's academic skills. People, if you go onto Facebook, people are doing online study groups and stuff like that if you need that sort of support. So yeah, does anyone else have a nice tip for moving online? Ifan or Caitlin, you've turned your microphone off first, so you can go and then we'll do Ifan.
Okay, I think really similar to Joanna, my tip would be in your first lecture, if it's online like a webinar or like a Zoom meeting, put in the chat that you want to start like a group chat for people in your subject, like very first lecture when people are still really diligent about turning up and not watching the recordings, do that, and then get as many people added in, and then from there you can set up study sessions and stuff. When we went online, I was actually interstate. So it was really difficult for me, you know, even with university closed, I couldn't meet up with friends outside of that. So being able to contact people online was really important.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also know a lot of students that have done this with the Facebook group, and they're like, a lecturer and a tutor aren't going to reply to my message about this assignment at 1 a.m. in the morning, but students will. Students will be on Facebook. They will be using the chat and you'll get a quick answer. So I know a lot of students do this, and I've heard that it's very, very useful. Evan, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I found that for online learning, it's really easy to just switch off from everything completely, like turn off your camera, turn off your microphone, and then just stay hidden throughout the entire class. But that is so not helpful for active learning, which is what we try to do during uni. So I found it really helpful during lockdown to, even if it's a live lecture or tutorial, make sure that I turn on my camera and answer questions if the lecturer was asking any, and just stay engaged. And you might find that like there are a few students who will be engaged along with you. So towards the end of the semester, when people were trying to find study groups, people are more likely to find someone they know the face of than just a name on the Zoom. So I got quite a few people asking me, like, do you want to form a study group together? Which was really helpful during exam time. So yeah, just stay engaged, yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that, Ethan. Very true, very true. You're going to get a lot more out of it when you have your camera on and you can see people's faces. Did you have something, Joanna? And then I think I have a few questions actually for you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, sorry, just something quick to add is if you are looking for any sort of study groups as well, the Science Student Society, we did run a few Zoom webinars as well. And so to do with a lot of first year subjects particularly. And what we had was we had a student who ended up doing a major in sort of like chemistry, if you were looking for a chemistry sort of tutorial, and pretty much it meant that you had like a third year or a second year helping in a first year subject as well. So if online learning gets too tough, I can imagine that we'll be running things like that as well. So yeah.
Perfect, thanks. So I've got a few questions here that are related to clubs, so I might just put them to you, Joanna. So a few of them, I'm going to just generalize them into kind of one question. One question is, so what are there's a huge list of clubs. I don't know which ones to join. What's some good recommendations? I think everyone can probably pitch in on that. Another question is it worth going to the Science Student Society first year OCamp? And then another question was, how do you join clubs nowadays since everything's currently online?
Alrighty, let's see. First of all, I'll get to the last one. So in terms of things being online at the moment, so I definitely recommend going there's an UMSU page, and I think there's also links on the Science Day one, which links you to a whole lot of clubs pages. So one, you can join up online through a whole lot of clubs at the moment, but two, it also means that you can see what in-person events they will be running. So I'd recommend checking that out for sure, because there will be in-person events, all things considered, but at the moment it looks pretty good. In terms of OCamp, well, I obviously am going to say a resounding yes. So for me, that was exactly what brought me into the Science Student Society. I had no idea it existed. I was really worried about making friends. And so pretty much because it's before any of your actual classes start, what it means is you kind of start your classes recognizing like 100 faces. Then it also means that you have maybe third years, second years who will also chat with you and who are very willing to give you advice on a whole lot of things that are a little bit overwhelming about uni at the beginning. And so it meant like walking into my first lecture or first tutorial, I remember I was able to say hi to people. And that was something that was really important for me, because otherwise I was worried about it being a big environment where I didn't know people. So in terms of OCamp, I'd really, really recommend it. It's a fantastic way to make friends. Also, there's an arts OCamp, there's tons of OCamps as well, and they're all really, really good. So yeah, and then you can come say hi to me in person as well. So I mean, personally, I would love it. What was the first question, Chloe? Sorry.
The first question was, so are you saying that people can join clubs even though we're not on campus yet?
Yeah.
Yep, so you just send them an email or something?
Well, they often have links. So for example,
cool.
my society being the one that I know the most about, there's a link to a Google Doc and you literally just fill out the details and you're in the club.
Easy, cool, that's perfect. And then the last question was, what ones can you recommend? And also someone's also said, how many clubs would you recommend for a first year to get involved in?
Okay, so here's my general piece of advice would be try everything one time and see how you go. So I had this 2-week period at the start of uni where I essentially went to a whole bunch of clubs and I found the sort of people who I wanted to hang around with, ideas that interested me. So in terms of some general ones that I would absolutely recommend, obviously there's our society, but then there's also things like Paws, which is the people who bring their dogs in on campus as well. Oh my gosh, gorgeous, love that. Then there's things like the Art Society as well for another larger group. But really for any of your interests, you're likely to find a club or society that lines up. So I knew that I loved debating. And so that was the first thing I did. I was like, okay, where's the debating society? Went along, bit scary, made some friends. Now I'm in the debating society. So yeah, I'd really recommend scroll through the list, highlight things that you enjoy and just show up one time.
Yeah, just see. So someone's also asked that they're overwhelmed. Just think about things that you already like and give it a shot. But Caitlin, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I'm not in any clubs actually, but I do work for UMSU, which is the student union. so they're just kind of looking out for you at like every stop, and they've got like a whole booklet which they publish every semester, which has like a list of all the clubs, a little description, and how you can contact each of them. So like Facebook, website, email, whatever they've got. So that's really, really handy if you're overwhelmed. They're also usually grouped by like what category, like food clubs or like, you know, major clubs or like, yeah, anything. So I would, yeah, really highly recommend that. I don't know if it'll be happening or what form it'll be happening in this year, but Summerfest, which is kind of like the O week for our uni, it has like a clubs and societies day where you can kind of like go around and meet people from every club. If you get there early, you can often get like tote bags from everywhere, like little goodies in them. Highly, highly recommend coming. You always get something for free there from someone. So even if you're just there for the freebies, really highly recommend coming, and you can often join things there.
Cool. Now, if are you just gonna promote your club, your society? You got ulterior motives.
I wasn't going, but now you reminded me. Maybe. I was just going to add on to what Caitlin says. So UMSU is running a club expo. Actually, they're running 4 club expo sessions online at the moment. So you'll get to visit each club's their own store, and then you actually got to talk to people like via video chat. So that's a great way for you to decide which kind of club you want to join. And yeah, while we're here, join the Melbourne Uni Maths and Stats Society. We're doing more things than maths, but if you're interested in it, then why not? Yeah.
Cool. So Navindu, do you have a recommend? Both Stella and Navindu, you get a rec.
Yeah, just a recommendation. Do like the Facebook pages, because that's where you can find a lot of information about clubs. So yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of. Yeah, Stella, did you have one?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what everyone was saying about Summerfest. So there's, as Yifan mentioned, there's 4 different days. 2 of those days will be during O week, and the other 2 days are during week 1 of semester. And you'll be able to join online and enter booths. And at those booths, there will either be a video demonstrating what the particular club does and what they're involved in, or there actually be members from that club in the booth that you'll be able to have a chat with. Some clubs will have prepared some activities that you can participate in. And then also, if you were really keen on joining a club with all this online fiasco that's going on, definitely check out the Facebook page. For all the clubs that I've been involved in, there's a sort of a direct message function on the Facebook, and you can just type a message, be like, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'd love to be part of the club. And most clubs will definitely reach out to you.
Cool, thanks guys. So I can see a lot of questions about kind of just basic course rules here. My colleague John has popped a chat, some information in the chat, but we've just created a brand new Plan Your BSc Getting Started page. It's got some great course planning videos that cover all of the basic course rules for first years, as well as some breadth rules as well. And then on that page, it links to separate subject set pages for every single first year subject area, where you can hear from the first year coordinator and then see all of the subjects and subject sets available for those areas, and then what majors they link to. So make sure to go check that out, guys, if you have some questions relating to your course and course rules, because I can see a few questions about like, can I take third year subjects and stuff like that. Okay. Okay, this is a good one, and maybe something a bit different, but were there any challenges that you faced when you were undertaking a Bachelor of Science degree? Can anyone think of the biggest challenge that they faced? Navindu, did you want to talk on this at all?
Sure. So I guess for me, the biggest challenge was just adjusting to programming. That's something I'm not pretty used to, and I've not done much programming at school, and that was probably like the biggest challenge I found during first year and second year. But apart from that, I can't think of any big challenges at the moment.
Caitlin.
Yeah, I actually moved interstate to come to this university, so it's been a pretty interesting experience sort of living outside of home in a share house, working for like all of the money I have, and you know that can be quite stressful at times. I think that yeah, I think that sometimes, you know, university hasn't been my top priority, you know, classes and studying and stuff, and that's, you know, that's really okay too. But I think that the university does have a lot of really excellent support services. There's like financial support services who are like, you should actually apply for a scholarship. You can qualify. And I was like, really? Are you sure? And they were totally right. Like, you know, you learn surprising things like this about the support services that are available to you. I couldn't like not mention like UMSU has tons of things everywhere. They have support groups for like any kind of like personal problems, like just everything you can imagine, like communities where you can just talk to people like you. They also have like legal advocacy and help with if you're having trouble with like communicating with the university. There's disability support services. So like I would really say like check out the university support services, the UMSU support services, and if you're having like any like questions about where you're going, you can ask. Like, UMSU is really good at pointing you in the right direction, or Stop One will also help you if you're just like, where do I get course planning? Where is that? Help me. They're really great. So the website for a number, or go in person if you can.
Yeah, does anyone else, I guess, have any tips or moments they want to share about a challenge they've had to overcome starting the BSc? Ethan?
The biggest challenge I face, I would say, is to pick my major because.
Oh, that's a good question, because another one of the questions says, what helped you the most with the decision about your major? So that feeds into that as well. So yeah, awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, so even though now I know I'm going to major in mathematics, I had no idea at the start of my degree. I guess that's one good thing about Bachelor of Science is that it leaves so many options open for first year, and then you don't have to decide until later on. But one thing that really helped me make my decision is the mentoring programs. So one reason that I wasn't sure I'm going to do maths or not is because I don't really know anyone who studied maths. So no family, friends, or relatives who ever studied this as a major. So I wasn't sure, like, oh, would that actually lead to a career afterwards? So I found that STEM industry mentoring really helped me. So I was really lucky that my mentor, I got paired with Professor Carrie Landman, who's a very famous applied mathematician. And just by kind of connecting this idea of a mathematician to an actual person really helped me to kind of humanize the subject, and really kind of inspire me to see that, oh, okay, so such a lovely person. She's passionate about maths and that's why she's pursued it. So maybe I can do the same too. So yeah, if you're not sure, definitely talk to people. Get involved in those mentoring programs. There's so many now. Yeah, and see what others have done and whether, that might help you.
Exactly. So for everyone, just so you know, the STEM Industry Mentoring Program is a program available when you're in your second year. You get matched with a Melbourne alumni in an area in which you're interested in, and you can do it more than once. You can do it on your second and your third year, and so you can get exposed to different areas. Another option is, obviously, you're all going to have a peer mentor. The peer mentoring session, the first session happens on Monday of orientation week. So make sure you go along, and that way you get exposure to students that are a year or a couple years ahead of you, and they can give you advice, specific individual advice on, you know, what subjects they've done, what areas they have done and what they thought of them. So definitely make sure you're making use of those relationships that the university is providing for you, for sure. Does anyone else have anything to say about kind of what helped them make their decision about their major? Caitlin?
Yeah, I would say make sure you're reading the subject handbook. I feel like I meet so many people who are like, what are you talking about? What is this? It's like a big website that has like every subject, has information about every major. I think for me, it was really helpful to look and see, oh, like if I do this major, what kind of subjects will I be doing? Like, because, you know, when you hear pathology, sometimes you're like, but what is it? What is pathology? So, you know, to be able to see like, oh, like mechanisms of disease, oh, this. Oh, okay, that's interesting, but maybe I want to do something else. And I think that my other big tip would be to, in your first year, do as many different things as possible. If you're not sure. I know plenty of people who've like gone, I'm going to take as much like zoology as I can. Good for them. I'm proud of them. Good work. But for me, no, definitely not. Needed to take as many different things as possible to understand what I was going to say yes to and what I was going to say no to.
Yeah, definitely. Joanna?
Yeah, so in terms of challenges, I think one of the things that I found really challenging was just the level of options as well. So I know that it can be really overwhelming when you first start. And it kind of still is often, like there's still elements of overwhelming moments. But
Yeah.
something I found really useful is kind of talking to people, but also recognizing that there is a lot of flexibility in your course structure. And so for me, what I found in my first year was I was doing a lot of stuff. I was busy in a lot of clubs and doing all of that. And so I found that underloading. So for example, I ended up taking 3 subjects instead of 4 for a semester. And that was something that was really useful. And I didn't even realize that was an option until I spoke to someone. They were like, why are you doing 4 subjects and burning yourself out? So really just like kind of read up and find out, or talk to people and find out about how flexible everything is, because then you can kind of take a step back and take a deep breath and be like, it's going to be okay. Whatever I do, it'll work out in the end, which isn't like the most useful, but that's what I found for me.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone has a different way of figuring out what they want to do. Some people come to uni, they know exactly what they want to do, and then that changes. Some people come and try lots of different things. So I think if you're unsure, try as many different things as possible, and keep as many majors open as possible. So I guess, does anyone have any tips? This one is good because I feel like everyone will experience this at some point in their study. How do you manage work, study, and having a life? I think it's a challenge that, as myself as when I was a student, faced. So does anyone have any good tips for that, or anyone want to go first? No, I'm going to pick someone. Caitlin, you go.
I just want to say 2 points for underloading. It's great. I think, you know, if you're like, well, 40 hours of study a week, that's a full-time job, working part-time, having fun with other people, like whatever else you got on your plate, volunteering, I don't know, hobbies, like that's a lot of things. Maybe just do like 3 subjects. It's still full-time. You don't lose any of the, like, you know, like there's some weird conditions for like some, you know, health
Yeah, for
insurance
Centrelink
or
and
government
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. So
you're still
it's
considered
still
full-time. Yeah.
So like highly recommend if you're like, this is a lot of things. It is. So do 3 subjects.
Perfect. Does anyone else have another tip?
Yeah, so I actually was working throughout my entire 3 years of undergrad. Some of the tips I picked up was actually when you're picking your timetable preferences, a lot of my lectures were online. I'm pretty sure all my lectures were available online. And with the workshops and tutorials that I had to go in to campus in person, I sort of just tried to put them on the same day, and that would leave some other days free for me to go to work. And just make sure you have your time management down. You really want to make sure you're catching up with lectures that you're not physically going to as well. So just that little bit of extra planning and working out your timetable and having a really structured sort of timetable for every day.
Yeah, definitely. And remember, just because you do 3 subjects a semester doesn't mean that you're going to not complete in 3 years. You can do summer subjects and winter subjects to make up for them. So it's not the end of the world. And also finishing a degree in 3 years is actually not that common. I feel like everyone ends up I ended up at uni at 5 years. Like, it just happens. You never know how it's going to go. But yeah, so we'll just go to, we've got a question sitting at the top, but it says, what are the benefits of getting LICA? For those who don't know, LICA is a award called Leaders in Communities Award, and students are awarded it once they complete, I think it's 24 volunteer hours. Around then, you can read the exact number on their webpage. They have a webpage about it. But yeah, does anyone, I guess everyone here should have been awarded the LICA from their volunteering. At least some of you, Ifan. What do you think the benefits of it are?
So it's firstly, it will show up on your transcript, which looks very good. Another thing is that when you record your volunteering hours, it asks you to write a little paragraph, kind of like, well, what did you get out from this volunteering experience? So yeah, I found that like a reflecting opportunity to be quite helpful, and also just to write down that everything you did, yeah, to keep a record. That's also very helpful.
Cool. Does anyone else have anything to add to that, Caitlin?
Yeah, I think if you're like a goal-oriented person, like maybe the kind of person who's read up a lot and like read this before the start of first year, perhaps, it might be really helpful for you to like be like, I want to do this many volunteering hours, because that'll kind of force you to be like, well, I've got to get involved in this many clubs and do this. And like, I encourage you to like not look at it as in like a sort of superficial this many hours only way, but to really like throw yourself into things. I think it can kind of direct you to opportunities that are like really useful, really helpful, and can lead you to like a really fulfilling university life, which is the purpose of LICA.
Anyone else have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's also like a great way to make new connections and new friends, because volunteering is one of the best ways to make new friends in university and out of university. And like if you want to get referees and maybe possibly jobs in the future, volunteering through LICA would also connect you to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you don't have a lot of work experience, volunteering is a great way to add stuff to your CV and build that up for sure. So we are going to keep running because I know the BSc Welcome ran a bit over. So I'm just going to, and we still have quite a lot of questions. So I'm going to keep going. The subject expo will be running for 2 hours, and you can pop in any time during those 2 hours. So there's no need to rush in there, but they'll be opening up soon. I guess someone just asked the question, what is doing 3 subjects? So a normal load is 4 single subjects in a semester. So you may choose to only enroll in 3 subjects, and that would mean that you would be underloading. And someone also said, does that mean that your degree won't be finished in 3 years? As I said, you can make it up in other ways. And, you know, finishing your degree in 3 years is not the be end all of life. I've actually got a question directly for you, Ifan. Roughly speaking, is majoring in maths similar to a continuation from high school maths, like maths methods, maths specialists, or is it really different?
I would say yes, completely different. Yeah, like all the maths where we're learning before uni is only foundation maths. You often found them to be quite repetitive, very mechanical. But once you go to uni, it's much more problem solving. So you learn about theorems and then try to ways to prove them, and also applications that comes with that theory. And I'm sure this is the same for lots of other different sciences. So all the stuff in high school is only a foundation, and once you go to uni, it's much more interesting. Oh yeah, and also one more thing about maths at uni, it's so much more collaborative than how it was in high school, because you have weekly tutorials where you get to work on problems along with other students. So having that collaborative environment makes it really fun. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Ifan. That's really great. All right. Someone also asked, can you underload later in your degree? Yes, you choose how many subjects you're enrolled in per semester or for the whole year, and you can change that up until 2 weeks into semester, and you can add subjects, but then you have until the end, the census date, which is normally about 4 weeks into semester, to drop a subject without any repercussions. Once that date passes, you will be charged that. You'll still have to pay for it, and then there's another date a little bit later. Normally that means that you'll then actually probably get a fail, or it'll be listed on your transcript as a withdrawn late. So make sure to check those dates on the website. They're really important, and if you're feeling overwhelmed, then go to Stop One, talk to them about your options, and make sure it would be the 31st of March for semester 1 for this year. But yeah, just go and double check that online and make sure that you're aware of those dates, because you can still change. You're not locked into anything. Okay, what if we've got some other questions here? Can I register for Student at Work program if I'm in my first year? Has anyone done the Student at Work program here? Caitlin?
So I work for the university. It's technically the Students at Work program, but it's a little bit different to what other people have done. I think just have a look on Careers Online, which is sort of university portal for all things jobs, so there's external jobs and internal jobs. You can also, go to book into a lot of like webinars or, information sessions for things, including like Exchange. It's very like centralized. So I would say have a look on there. It's going to depend what kind of job. There are people who do my kind of job who are in their first year, but it's quite specialized in terms of like, it's a bit different to the other programs that they run. But I would say definitely check it out. Even if you're not eligible for every job straight away, there's definitely going to be a lot of information that you can find that will help you if you want to do it later on.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that. Okay, so has anyone else done a language as part of their breadth? Yeah. So someone said, is it difficult to study a language as your breadth alongside science electives? Has anyone got it? Joanne, did you say that you'd also done it as well? Yeah.
So I might not be very useful because I did my languages as intensives, which is something I'd really recommend. A lot of my friends did do their language units alongside their science units and found it really enjoyable and actually a really good break from using like science brain to be able to switch into a different mode. And it really does depend on what level you're going. Like if you're really just beginning, I would say for sure, honestly, I think it would be pretty good to balance, but I couldn't recommend summer intensives for languages enough. They were awesome.
Ethan, did you have anything to add?
Not much. I also did French as winter intensive. So I found that to be a very immersive experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day you would go into tutorial and it would just be French all the time. So that really helped.
Awesome. Thanks for that, guys. All right, so I've got a few questions about volunteering and internships again. Again, there's a subject available in the BSc. You can go onto the careers portal. There's internship and volunteering information on there as well if you're looking for those sorts of opportunities. We've done that one. Cool. All right, I think a lot of this stuff is about timetables and stuff like that. So you just need to go to the timetabling website and have a look at that. Again, check in with stop 1. Some other questions are just about do they teach us how to learn, do it with support? There's academic skills also available online. They have online webinars running every week. There's also a BSc academic skills session happening part of orientation week between the 22nd and the 26th of Feb. So they will be able to, you can join that and Han Yuan does that and she's great and she'll give you some great tips as well as there's specialized study sessions for specific skills. But before we go, I think we are going to wrap it up because I love the questions remaining and been talked about. But I just want to go around and I want everyone to just give us a final tip that you have for commencing students starting there. So they haven't even started yet. They've got a month pretty much until O Week. What's one tip that you have for a BSc student starting? I'm going to go with you first, Caitlin.
Well, my first tip would be first 2 weeks of uni, this is free for all. Meet as many people as you can, do as many clubs as you can, make as many friends as you can, friend as many people on Facebook and get their contact details, and then just try and meet up with people and do as many things as you can. It's going to be harder later on when you're I'm so busy, university's rocked up, I'm in 5 clubs already. Use your first 2 weeks when things might seem kind of slow. They're slow because that's the time for you to get involved and experience as many things as possible. I would highly recommend that, but if that's not your pace, you can do it later. I just think you might have a bit more trial and error with being involved with things and less time. So first 2 weeks, that's a free time for you to use.
Perfect. Ethan, did you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So if I have to pick one single tip, it would be to get involved in the committee of at least one society or club. So you can join a club as a member, so just participate in all the activities, but there's also a committee within that club that's organizing all these events for you. And by getting involved with the committee, it not only, gets you to meet people, but it also is a really good leadership opportunity. It's a really good chance for you to develop your skills, those soft skills that will make you employable. So definitely sign up for committees. Yeah.
Cool. Joanna, do you want to go next?
Sure. I've got a bit of a cliched one. So you're all in the same boat in the sense that everyone pretty much knows no one. Everyone is a little bit like confused about what's happening around them. And so what I found was when I recognized that pretty much the people around me probably wanted to make friends with me just as much as I wanted to make friends with them, it meant that I kind of got over the fear of embarrassing yourself as well. And so like really just, you've got space to put yourself out there to chat, to embarrass yourself if it has to be, because everyone is just as overwhelmed as you are.
Great tip, so true. You think that you're the only one having that experience, but actually everyone around you is feeling exactly the same way. Navinda, did you want to give your little tip?
Yeah, sure. Just try to join as much Facebook groups as possible, because almost every subject would have a Facebook or a Messenger group. And do put a post or a comment saying that you want to make friends, and people will surely DM you. And that's a great way to start because everything's online at the moment.
Perfect. And lucky last, Stella.
Final tip, you don't have to know what you're doing. Don't freak out if you haven't chosen a major, if you haven't chosen a career path, if you haven't chosen what you're doing after your undergrad degree. University, that 3 years is a perfect time for you to figure things out. Try as many things as possible. Even if you are really set on a career path or a direction, you don't have to take all your subjects within that one field. That's where the breadth of University of Melbourne can bring you into different areas to explore. Perhaps you start following a different path, end up where you never thought you'd end up. So definitely just take this time to have fun. Don't stress too much. You'll have plenty of time to figure things out later on.
Great tips, guys. Well, I've just got one more thing to say. You have a peer mentor allocated to you. They are literally a personalized guide for the university. They can answer any questions you have. They can link you up with friends that are doing different majors, that are doing different things, and you can have a chat with them and they can give you some real world experience. So make sure to register and attend. Get the My UniLife app. Check your first peer mentoring session. It's happening on the Monday of orientation, and you'll be able to meet your mentor and ask them any questions you have and continue that relationship throughout your degree. They are a great, great asset, and it's like this, but they're individual. They're your own person. You're only having to share them with, 10 or so people rather than having to share them with a whole group of people. So make sure that you go and get that connection, because you can ask all of those intricate questions about timetables and stuff like that. But I think we'll leave it there, guys. The Subject Expo is happening right now. If you have questions about subjects or anything like that, make sure to go and ask the first year coordinators there. But yeah, thanks so much for coming, guys, and thank you to our panelists again for taking the time to come here and answer all these questions. I've really enjoyed hearing everyone's thoughts and feelings about everything. So yeah, have a good rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you in the expo. Bye.